Am I the a-hole for telling my husband to stop helping my neighbor and her son? About 5 years ago, my neighbor Jane kept walking over to our house and sending me messages asking for help for her son to learn to snowboard from my husband. Jane's husband wasn't interested in helping, and she kept telling me how great it was that my husband would snowboard with my son. At one point she asked if my husband and her son could go snowboarding together. I put my foot down and said absolutely not. Fast forward a number of years later, and her son is now 16. She again asked for help buying a new snowboard, and my husband is nice, and went and helped her and her son purchase one. She then started texting him asking if she could go with my husband and my son and her son snowboarding the next weekend. My husband said that was fine. However, my son decided not to go last minute because he wanted to just spend time with my husband. My husband didn't know that, but I did. My husband spent the day with Jane and her son even after me telling him that I wasn't happy about him going and that he should cancel, but he said he already told her he would and didn't want to flake. She texts him during work hours, he replies, and has relentless questions and asking when the next time they can go snowboarding. I told my husband to stop texting her, and he can't go with her anymore. It's making me uncomfortable. Note, her husband is around and did go with them to purchase the snowboard, but doesn't have the time to spend with them on the weekends, and so she wants my husband to go to help them and show them the ropes. He's one of those people that likes to help others. However, I told him to ghost her. He said it's gonna be weird when he sees her in the neighborhood and what he's supposed to say when he sees her. I told him to tell her that he's just too busy. Am I the a-hole?
Not the a-hole. Point out to your husband that his desire to help is alienating his son. He didn't check if his son wanted the neighbors to come. It's not your husband's job to make up for her husband being unable to spend weekends with them.
My husband is clueless and thought our son wanted to go to help them too. My husband does go snowboarding quite a lot, sometimes with my son and sometimes alone. But I don't like her tagging along. It's not like I told her he wanted to help her. I just think this is wrong when we are married, and she's a woman who is not happy with the attention she gets from her husband, obviously. Thank you.
He's not clueless. He enjoys her attention too, and pretends he is just a good neighbor.
Yo, she likes him. Ain't no way in hell this lady got her own damn husband and needs yours for this. SMH, she needs to go find a snowboarding instructor. And it's great that your husband is nice and all, but the heavenly gates will not refuse to open for him if he doesn't give this weird-ass neighbor lady and her son assistance with snowboarding. LOL.
Not the a-hole. This is one of two things, or both. 1, she has a thing for your husband and is trying to make her way toward that goal. 2, she is trying to make her own, seemingly worthless husband jealous. Nothing else about this makes sense.
That is what I am afraid of. It's not okay. Thank you for sharing.
Why doesn't she just have her kid take snowboarding lessons from a qualified instructor? If she wants her son to have snowboarding friends, there are better ways than trying to tag along with your son, who doesn't sound interested in her kid. Her son could join the school ski club, get involved in competitive snowboarding, or meet other kids on the slopes who might be interested in being friends. I think your instinct is correct, that this woman is overstepping because what she really wants is the company of your husband. She may not have a conscious idea that she's doing this, but it's so inappropriate that it doesn't really matter whether or not it's conscious on her part. It's just inappropriate, and I think you were correct to shut it down.
Part of me thinks it's not conscious and that she just wants to get help from a willingly clueless husband. But since she has said in the past how much she wished her husband would be more involved and then keeps asking for help from my expert husband, it sits wrong with me.
I think the only clueless person here is you. You told your husband to stop. That is not a clue but a fact. He knows you don't like this interaction. Why? Because you told him. How is he clueless when it's spelled out to him? And he loves the attention he is getting from her. That is the only reason.
Am I the a-hole for refusing to go into Hooters for my brother's 18th birthday and sitting in the car? I'm 14 female, and just last week my older brother turned 18. He is at college a few hours away, so my mom, dad, and I got in the car to meet him and give him presents, and yeah, I crocheted him a Pikachu. Nobody talked about what we were eating for dinner ahead of time, or I just wouldn't have gone. But when we got there, my dad kept asking if my brother wanted to go to Hooters. I'm gonna be honest and just say that it made me feel really uncomfortable. For those of you that don't know, Hooters is this chain restaurant where the whole point is to gawk at the waitresses who are all hot girls wearing white shirts and little orange shorts. It made me feel really uncomfy and bad, so I said that they could go inside, and I looked and saw there was a bookstore like a 5-minute walk away, so I go there instead. BC, I did not want to go. My dad got pissed off and started screaming at me that if I had a problem I could sit in the car. So I said, okay, I'll just sit here. He snatched my phone and screamed that I wouldn't need my phone to sit here. I said okay. They went, and then about 20 minutes later my mom came out to ask me to go inside with them, and I said no, I don't want to go there. After they dropped off my brother, he screamed at me for my actions. I low-key thought my mom would get it, but when we got home she told me that I should have just gone in because it was not that big a deal. I told her that it felt really gross to go to a restaurant just meant for gawking at women with my dad and brother. That if my dad wanted to perv out like that, he should have just gone with my brother. She said that sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do. Which, yeah, I get that, but I figured that applied more to stuff like having to do homework or babysit my mom's friends' kids. Am I the a-hole? I wanted to clear up something because it keeps coming up, but my brother's birthday dinner wasn't ruined. They got to go inside and have a good time. He got his presents and money, and he and dad talked about how big their waitress's tits are, and how hot it would be to see her and the other girl together on the drive back to his school. So nothing was ruined because I wasn't there. And no, I'm not lying about my dad screaming. He screams when he gets mad. I know the difference between a scream, a yell, and raised voice or talk sternly. Go ahead and judge me, but don't call me a liar.
Not the a-hole. You're right, going to Hooters with your dad and brother does sound like a gross time. I wouldn't have wanted to go either. It's not a family restaurant. They have a target demographic and you're not it. Your dad's reactions are way out of line and was abusive. I'm sorry, you may want to talk to your school counselor about his actions. She said that sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do. And hard no on this is for stuff like homework, not going to a restaurant whose sole purpose is to objectify women with your brother and father while they eat wings and make inappropriate comments. Edit, the more I think about this, the more I'm mad at OP's mom, too. Just going along with it when it would have been so freaking easy to say, you know, this sounds like a great bonding experience for you and son. Why don't you two go in together, and OP and I will go browse some books. We can meet up when you're done. Third and final edit, to everyone saying it's a family restaurant, it's legitimately named after a nickname for large breasts. While I don't disagree that they are capable of providing good service for underage customers, which is the bare minimum for a place that allows kids, the whole damn point of the place is to be served by women in revealing clothing where you can ogle them.
Honestly, OP, it would be so hilarious if you tell the school counselor and bring your father in so he can explain why he was trying to force you to go to Hooters. Let him try to justify his actions then. He'll be rightfully humiliated.
Absolutely. I want the grown-ass adult to explain to the counselor that he pitched a hissy fit when his daughter said she was uncomfortable about the objectification of women by her family members while eating a meal. Let him stew in the uncomfortable conversation.
Not the a-hole. Genuinely so impressed with you sticking to your values and not going along with misogyny and the objectification of women even under huge pressure from your parents. There's no way I would have had that level of maturity and strength of mind at your age. Girls like you will change the world.
You felt uncomfortable being there. Him getting angry because you disobeyed him sends the wrong message to you. By his logic, you would always have to force yourself into uncomfortable situations to satisfy your father or husband or whomever. You stuck up for yourself and never feel bad for that. Massive respect to you. Not the a-hole.
Not the a-hole. Never understood why anyone thinks it's okay to force someone else to do something they're not comfortable with. End of the day, you feel a certain way about something and took a stand in line with your personal beliefs and morals. Seems like a pretty impressive thing to do to me, especially when it's family. Anyone can argue against your feeling if they feel differently, but that still doesn't make you the a-hole for not wanting to support something you don't like, agree with, or feel uncomfortable with.
What do you think of these stories? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories.